welcome to the Open Source at Siemens event 2022. Great to have you here. We started in 2014, the first time at with a little group of people. Now happy that we are doing it hybrid, the first time. Last year we started with the afternoon public and the morning only for the Siemens folks, but as we are embracing the culture of open source and the collaboration and openness, we decided to go full public for the whole event. So welcome everyone here in Zug on site and remote. Hybrid mode, that's the new thing. We have also, our company is committed to have the hybrid mode in place so people are able to work at home and collaborate at the office. That's pretty nice, the decision we have there. We don't have to move the whole day back to the office. We are able to collaborate and code from home as well, if you want. Open source at Siemens. We have a bunch of guests. First, maybe to mention a few of the open source tools we are using. So we are using Owncast to stream as live stream platform, having open broadcast software, where my colleague Fabio and Ercan is managing the things. Thanks a lot, boys. And we have the virtual bar at bar.siemens.io, powered by Work Adventure. And if you go there, you might recognize it's the digital twin of the location we are in right now. We have, beside of Siemens people, we have a bunch of guests here. Looking forward to see your talks, and thanks for joining us here today. Open source is more a cultural thingy. It's, of course, you get software, you can use it, and you can create products out of it, but it's a bit more from our perspective. It's also about a collaboration culture. How do you interact with each other, decide open and transparently? That's how we started also with the Code Siemens Com platform nearly 6 years ago. And we're still growing, and that's amazing to see how people across the company are collaborating with each other day by day. So we have thousands of products and solutions that are built on the platform. We are executing about 250,000 builds a day, and we see every day new people on the platform that start collaborating there. Not only coders, also other people reporting issues. Let's say we have for the platform itself, issue tracker is available for everyone at the company. It's not kind of we do the thingy behind the door and then throw the things to the people. Everyone is welcome to join, file issues, and to collaborate and to contribute. What's the foundation of building cool stuff and collaborate? It's, of course, it's people. Having a good environment where people feel comfortable, where you have a cool team spirit, not doing the micromanagement, and having people being able to do stuff they love to do. This is at the end the power you need to collaborate. So still our team charter we have for the Code Siemens Com platform, and of course also mainly working preparing that event, for example, working on many different topics to push the culture into the company. Strong collaborative mindset, cross-silo thinkers, or some people say silo haters. People really need to be familiar with the open source way of working. Also, let's say if you want to apply those principles by doing inner source development and so on, having strong experience on the way of working in the open source world is, of course, a must-have. And, of course, we're using the platform to build the platform. So it's eat your own dog food, eat your own cooking, and so on. So we know where are some flickers or not. It's not kind of, I never use the product I'm responsible for. We are using the things we are responsible for every day. And of course we have fun as well. And today, the cool thing, we have nearly all the team members here also on site. That's really cool to see people. Some of our teammates I've not seen for about 1.5 years physically. We were just collaborating remotely, so it works. But of course, it's not the thing that might work for everyone. It's a very individual topic if you want to go do the hybrid work or the remote only work. But I can tell you, it works, and it works at Siemens. Open source. Last year, we just created a little basic website because we decided then to do a public afternoon event, and then we prepared events website. And nowadays we have an Open Source Siemens.com website where we have all the different memberships we have in place, the talks that have been performed at the open source conferences by Siemens employees. We have a bunch of GitHub groups. Over the time, we learned about many other groups that are around, so a lot of people across the company are already there. And the cool thing is people start to contribute also to the website. So we have people all over we are also within the Bytecode Alliance and creating merge requests. So developing that also in an open way in-house and getting more and more traction and visibility on the great things we're doing in the open source world is super important. And we were recently also talking about the FOSS manifesto Mercedes-Benz did. Also something I would love to see maybe next year here to give the open source movement some more momentum and speed. You might know Debian. Maybe some of you might remember Debian Sarge. It's pretty old thingy. I don't remember, it was 2004 or something. At the early days when I joined Siemens, primarily working on embedded Linux devices and so on, I was addicted already to the open source thingies, and I thought, hey, we should also tell we are using it and also at least contribute so that other people see what we're doing. So we recently also changed that entry, already created some follow-up merge requests there for who's using Debian Siemens entry. It's amazing to see that the MRI scanners are using Debian in some areas. Of course, the patient might not see it, but Debian powers so many things. And yeah, thank you, Debian. And thank you all for collaborating also on that entry as a team. There are many open source contributions, and I guess the burdens to contribute to open source project are not that high anymore. Of course, there's still some flickers here and there, but I'm pretty convinced that we're gonna simplify a lot of those things also and engage more, that people just start maybe filing an issue within an upstream project instead of doing local hacky things and so on, and that's how it starts. Also nice to see that for our products such as the thematic industrial PCs, now also drivers are within the Linux kernel upstream available, so no longer patching if you want to run Linux on our industrial control PCs. Inner source, so let's apply this culture in-house, and that's a journey, and we have a bunch of successful inner source projects, and I believe there will be more. It's somehow takes time to get people on board, to build up trust across the company in that way of working, and not all the people are familiar with open source and on collaborating in the public and so on together. The cool thing we did in November, also a joint team organized that together, the first Inner Source Summit in November. And it was pretty cool. We had our chief technology and strategy officer there giving a keynote on, hey, that's the thing, do it, make it, and collaborate. It's no longer kind of, there's some idealists or some open source freak nerds that want to do the inner source and collaborate like this. It's also at the top, people want to have us collaborate across silos internally and reuse stuff and so on. And yeah, let's do it, I would say. And interestingly, the visibility also of many projects. I talked with people at the Inner Source Summit. They were not aware of some of the Inner Source projects that are around already. And they just learned, cool, we can use that UI framework. I was not aware we'd built stuff by our own again. So we need much more visibility. And of course, we also already started the conversation for the next Inner Source Summit. Also will be in November then. Internally only. Sorry, dear open source folks outside. And this brings me to the next topic. We have Sandra here. She was working over the last few months on a master thesis regarding inner source, and she will give us some insight as a non-coder, okay, on that topic. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Rocher. So my name is Sandra, and as Rocher said, I'm not into software topics. I come from the organizational development side, and thanks to Sabine Vogel, I was inspired by her, and then I met Rocher and Marion. Thank you so much for the support during my thesis. And yeah, I was fascinated by the way Rocher built up this community, and I decided to write my master thesis about this topic. And before I talk about the approach of the thesis, the results and recommendations, I would like to give you an overview about the initial situation. So in 2021, $605 billion worldwide were spent on enterprise software. Growth of 11% was expected for this year. Siemens not only uses software for internal business processes, but also creates software for customers in a wide range of organizational units. Software is of highest importance for the success of Siemens. Until 2014, collaboration across departments and divisions within Siemens on software code was difficult. The same problems were solved in the same manners, in the same way again and again. In 2015, the social coding platform code.siemens.com was built by using the bottom-up approach, and developers have now the possibility to collaborate and share code within minutes. This approach of open and collaborative software development within a corporation is called inner source. The overall objective of my master thesis was to answer the following question: what is needed to further develop and expand an open and collaborative way of software development within Siemens? The objective of the thesis was to describe Siemens' present inner source approach and to identify options for action to further develop and expand an open and collaborative way of software development within Siemens. Therefore, the research approach, you see it here on the slide, consists of a literature review and a quantitative analysis. The research question was answered by various subordinated questions, which were: which theoretical knowledge about corporate open source software development is available within the literature? Investigations in this work were intended to describe the theoretical knowledge about corporate open software development within the literature and define main factors that characterize software development within a corporation. This framework I created and applied to the inner source approach of Siemens. Several questions came up, and we decided to do a quantitative survey. This survey was sent out to all of the participants of the Inner Source Summit Rocher talked before, and we received more than 60 answers. And these answers gave us an update about the current state of Inner Source, the motivational aspects of the software developers, and success factors and impediments that we are currently facing within Siemens. The results, I talked about these 3 dimensions: the state of Inner Source adoption, the motivational aspects, and the success factors I described in my thesis. So, the attitude between the different organizational units within Siemens differs. We have some units, they are very open and they share all of their, or not all, but mostly of their source code within Inner Source projects. But there are also business units which only have closed source projects within the platform. So the goal is that we have more Inner Source projects and that we have more collaborative projects. Currently we have around about 1,000 collaborative projects in which more than one Siemens team with regards of the unit collaborates. Currently the most users within the platform are from Germany, so we want to enlarge the community internationally. And the management support differs within Siemens as well. So some of the management members are open for Inner Source, but some are a little bit skeptical. So what are the motivational aspects for Inner Source? This question we asked within the community as well. And the first thing is that the software developers are motivated because Inner Source benefits Siemens overall. And they have the chance to learn new technologies, and that innovation comes into the company. And like Rocher said, they don't like silos, they like working across organizational boundaries. That was one result of my survey as well. Then we have the success factors and impediments. They go hand in hand, so we need more management buy-in. We need a mindset change away from the hierarchical thinking and more towards a community. Like, you already have this community, but we need to broaden up this community. We need more resources and budget, and on that point we come to the recommendations. Currently there is no top-down strategy for Inner Source within Siemens, though that was one recommendation of my thesis, and I gave a concept proposal as well. We need a marketplace for reusable source code. So currently the source code is within the platform, but there's no central marketplace within the platform, and we need a framework for collaboration. So currently the developers have the chance to develop Inner Source and collaborate on these collaborative projects I already talked about, but we need a framework for collaboration that more developers can join. And we need to increase the visibility internal and externally. And that was it from my side. Thank you. And Rocher, now it's your turn again.
Thanks a lot, Sandra. I'm really happy to get those insights from kind of an outsider from our community. It really brings totally different viewpoint into the topic, and we'll already started on some things a while ago. One thing is the topic portals. we might hear a little bit about it later on from Jonas, who contributed that on behalf of us to GitLab, so that we can have some different kind of for different purposes, some portals with a dedicated title, description, and so on. There will be a self-service then available also, so that you can contribute topics, logos, descriptions, and so on, so that we can people can then really browse through that via the platform as well. So next month we will gonna have it on code.siemens.com available. Another topic inspired by our CIO Hannah Hennig was the so-called Bundesliga-Tabelle. So having a kind of a ranking table, what's the most reused inner source project, for example, what's the origin, where it is reused, and so on. And so we already made there a first version, and of course there's much more to do. In regard of tooling, of course we can do a lot of things regard of tooling, but I would say the most important thing is that we really walk the talk and collaborate in such a way within the company, and get, let's say, the inner source virus into the company, to all the people, so that more and more people collaborate in such an open and transparent way within the company. We're also had a close look on how we can do, for example, bomb scanning, so that we can also auto-detect reuse of components on the platform, so that at the moment not everything is fully automated. So there's still some kind of manual registration required. That's of course a lot of things we want to do fully automatically. No manual data typing, as you can imagine. We are developers. Yes, of course it would be cool to get some feedback also on how we shall change the event, or what would be other interesting topics, or if you have proposals for the topics. We have that also on our webpage and at the bar. And now I would say thank you all for joining us, and I wish you all a lot of fun and great discussions with other teammates and guests together here at Galvanic or at the Virtual Bar, bar.siemens.io.